is to really understand the MVC pattern. And so I just brought up the developer tools from Chrome because they just kind of have a nice overview of the MVC pattern. Even though they're talking about JavaScript, it doesn't matter what language they're talking about. Basically, MVCs do what it says here. They help you write better organized and more maintainable code. It helps you actually collaborate with multiple people and users. It's a very consistent pattern that a lot of people use, so other people will understand your code if you, say, leave a project and somebody wants to pick it up. So basically the idea is this. Basically you have your views, and these are generally what the client will be seeing and interacting with. These views will then generate user actions. So these are going to be HTTP requests. Those HTTP requests are going to be caught by the controller, usually through some sort of routing. That controller will then decide what to do. It could just update the view. So kind of like when we play with the great number game. All it's doing is updating the view. We aren't doing any logic with a database. We can also say, hey, let's go over to our model. And this model is responsible for all the database interactions. So it's basically making sure data before it gets and is inserted into a database is appropriate. So basically checking verifications and that sort of thing. And then it also does the communication with the database itself. So basically you have this view, information gets sent over to the controller, it might get sent back right away, or the controller might be like, okay, that looks like it's a request from creating a new user. I'm going to go check and see what the model says. The model might say, hey, that's a registration form. All the fields in here are valid. It runs off, inserts that into the database, and then sends information back to the controller and says, user's logged in, and then that might change what view gets loaded after that user action. Perfect. So we're going to start playing with Django using this MVC pattern. Django has named it slightly differently because it splits things up into apps. So model's still the same. And oddly, they use view for controller and templates for view. So they use an MTV notation, but it is an MVC framework. And if you look at the Django documentation, they call it an MVC framework as well. So, so this pattern is what's important. The names aren't as important. So basically you have this client-side behaviors, actions. These get dictated what happens through some sort of routing. Then you get either updates or you go to a model and insert things into databases, come back to the controller, go back to and update the view. Perfect.